The void was burning. Thousands of alien warships surrounded the blue marble of Earth, their engines pulsing with light brighter than any dawn. From the orbiting command station, Helios, Captain Aidan Rourke stared through the observation window at the massive formation blocking every escape route. The Galactic Council's fleet had arrived, not for peace, not for talks, but for judgment. Each ship represented a world that had voted to punish humanity for its silence. Rourke's voice was calm, but his hands were tight behind his back. "They think we're afraid," he said. His second officer, Lieutenant Hale, watched the alien armada with wide eyes. "Sir, there are thousands of them. Their capital ships alone could vaporize half the moon." Rourke nodded slowly. "Yes, that's why they believe we won't fight back. But they still don't understand how we think." On the main screen, the Galactic flagship appeared, an enormous spire-shaped vessel made of shimmering crystal. It broadcast a holographic message across all human frequencies. The alien high speaker's voice echoed through every human ship and city. "By decree of the Galactic Council, humanity is found guilty of deception, aggression, and technological violation. Earth will be quarantined, its fleets disarmed, and its communication rights revoked." The broadcast spread like wildfire across every planet in the known systems. Billions of humans watched as the judgment fell upon their species. In the silence that followed, Captain Rourke gave a single order. "Send the reply." Across space, thousands of human satellites came alive. They began transmitting an encrypted signal, one the Council's scanners couldn't decode. The alien ships adjusted their sensors, trying to read the message, but the signal wasn't meant for them. It was meant for Earth itself. From every city, mountain, and hidden bunker, a deep hum began to rise. The Council ships detected energy spikes across the planet's surface. But before they could react, the hum synchronized into a single tone. "Sir, they're broadcasting something," one alien commander reported. The high speaker tilted its crystalline head. "What are they transmitting?" The answer came seconds later, as a human voice cut through every frequency in the galaxy. Calm, clear, and unnervingly steady. "This is humanity. We have heard your judgment. You may silence our voices, but you cannot silence what we've become." Then the transmission ended. No threats, no pleas, just silence. But silence was never safe with humans. Minutes later, the alien flagship's sensors began to flicker. Its systems showed multiple false readings, hundreds of ghost signals appearing across Earth's orbit. Dozens of phantom fleets, identical in shape and mass to human warships, began appearing on their radar. "Impossible!" one alien technician shouted. "There aren't that many ships in their entire defense grid." But the ghosts were moving, closing in, forming attack lines. Panic rippled through the alien fleet. Rourke watched from Helios as the alien formations began to shift, weapons powering on, targeting phantoms that did not exist. Hale turned toward him, stunned. "Sir, how are they seeing that?" Rourke smiled faintly. "They're not seeing. They're being shown." The real human fleet, hidden behind the dark side of the moon, waited in complete silence. Their ships were powered down, their hulls coated with light-absorbing layers. For weeks, humanity had planned for this moment. They knew the Council would come with their fleets, their arrogance, their belief in control. Humanity had decided to answer in a language the Council understood least: strategy. On the alien flagship, the high speaker shouted commands. "Focus your scans. Find the true ships." But the scans only produced more false readings. Every attempt to isolate the real fleet multiplied the ghosts. Within minutes, their entire sensor network was filled with thousands of phantom vessels. The aliens were trapped inside their own fear. Then a voice echoed inside the chamber of the Galactic Council, broadcast across every flagship. It was not alien. It was human. Dr. Elias Ward, the Earth's appointed ambassador, stood before the Council in their floating citadel above the gas giant Rethul. He faced hundreds of alien representatives seated in towering glass pods. His expression was calm, but his words carried the weight of billions. "You accused humanity of deception," Ward said. "You broadcast our trial to the galaxy to humiliate us. You wanted every civilization to see how small we are," the Council speaker responded with contempt. You are small. You are dangerous and unpredictable. We cannot risk your kind spreading chaos. Ward's eyes hardened. You think our silence was chaos? No, it was preparation. While you argued in your halls, we learned. While you doubted us, we built. While you watched, we listened. The chamber lights dimmed. The council's communication arrays flickered again. Every holographic display inside the room distorted, then shifted to show live footage from the alien armada above Earth. Ships firing blindly into empty space. Explosions lighting the void as they struck their own fleets. The alien representatives gasped in disbelief. The high speaker turned to Ward. "What have you done?" Ward folded his hands behind his back. "Nothing. You started a war of words, and now the words have become your enemy." The council tried to cut the broadcast, but it was too late. Across the galaxy, every race watching saw the truth. The mighty Galactic Council was losing control, not because of human weapons, but because of human intelligence. The same broadcast they used to condemn humanity was now hijacked, twisted, and redirected by the very species they sought to silence. On Earth, the people watched in stunned awe as the alien fleets retreated in confusion. Their ships fired at ghosts that vanished as soon as they appeared. The entire operation lasted 20 minutes, but it was enough to shake the faith of every alien nation in the Council's power. Humanity hadn't fired a single shot. Inside the galactic chamber, Ward stepped closer to the speaker's podium. "You wanted to broadcast our trial," he said softly. "But you forgot what broadcasting means. Once a signal is sent, it can go anywhere. Anyone can hear it. Even us." He paused, letting his words sink in. Then, with a faint smile, he added, "We warned you not to provoke us. We told you silence was our defense. Now you've made it our weapon." As he spoke, the walls of the chamber glowed faintly blue. The Council's systems detected a breach, but it wasn't a simple hack. It was something deeper, something that had been waiting, quietly listening, for this very moment. Every planet connected to the Council's network began receiving a new transmission. It was the same one the humans had sent minutes ago. "You may silence our voices, but you cannot silence what we've become." The Council's technicians scrambled to stop it, but the message replicated faster than light could travel, bouncing between relay stations and subspace channels echoing across the galaxy. The judgment broadcast had been reversed. Now the galaxy saw humanity not as the accused, but as the silent power that had outsmarted the greatest empire in existence. In the chamber, the speaker's crystal form flickered in rage. "This is an act of war." Ward looked at him and replied, "No, this is an act of truth." Back near Earth, Captain Rourke watched as the alien armada withdrew in chaos, their formation broken, their systems corrupted by false data. The holographic ghosts faded away, leaving the dark expanse of space quiet once more. Hale whispered, "They'll come back, won't they?" Rourke nodded. "They will. But next time, they'll come knowing who we really are." He turned toward the planet below, where billions of humans stood under the same sky, watching the alien ships flee. For the first time in history, the entire species understood that survival wasn't just about strength. It was about patience, intelligence, and timing. As the last alien vessel disappeared into the void, Rourke's communicator beeped. It was a message from Earth's Central Command. Just 2 words. Phase 2. He stared at the words, the faint reflection of Earth glimmering in his eyes. "So," he murmured, "it begins." Far across the galaxy, in the Council's hidden archives, a small light flickered, a data signal originating from Earth's moon. It wasn't an attack. It was a transmission, quiet, encrypted, and unreadable to anyone but humans. The message repeated endlessly, waiting to be heard. In the silence that followed, the galaxy began to realize the terrible truth. Humanity had not been defeated. Humanity had been listening, and now humanity was speaking. The night side of Earth was lit brighter than day. Hundreds of alien cruisers hovered over the upper atmosphere, their metallic hulls shimmering like liquid silver as they blocked out the stars. They came without warning, without signals, without mercy. The Galactic Council had decided to send a peace enforcement fleet to ensure humanity's submission after the failed broadcast trial. The fleet's commander, Admiral Vorin of the Zethan Dominion, watched the planet below through his control dome. His eyes flickered with contempt as he spoke. "Begin orbital lockdown. Humanity will kneel before the Council, or Earth will burn." On the ground deep under the frozen wastelands of Greenland, the Terran Defense Command stood ready. General Kara Ellison looked up at the live feed of alien ships forming a massive triangular formation in the sky. "They're cutting off the satellites," she said quietly. Her second-in-command, Commander Leon Ward, replied, "Yes, ma'am. But they still think our satellites are only for communication." Ellison turned to him with a thin smile. "Then let's show them what they really do." Above Earth, the alien ships began transmitting a command code designed to shut down all human systems. To their surprise, the signals vanished the moment they entered the planet's atmosphere. One by one, the alien systems began to flicker. Their screens displayed static, and the control domes went dark. "Status report," Admiral Vorin shouted. No one answered. The fleet's sensors picked up a faint transmission coming from the moon, a slow, rhythmic pulse echoing through space. It was not an attack signal. It was a melody, a human song, soft and eerie, spreading through every communication channel in the galaxy. The translation algorithms couldn't interpret it, but its tone carried emotion that even alien minds could feel: sorrow, defiance, and warning. Admiral Vorin clenched his fists. "Find the source of that signal now!" Back on Earth, in the hidden command center beneath the Arctic, General Ellison watched as the alien fleet struggled. "They're trying to trace the signal," Leon reported. "They'll never find it. It's bouncing through the Echo Network." Ellison nodded. The Echo Network was humanity's secret. Thousands of hidden data relays scattered across deep space, disguised as asteroids and derelict satellites. It was more than a communication system. It was a weapon of information, capable of bending the very frequencies the Council relied on for control. From orbit, the alien fleet fired a test shot toward Earth. A massive plasma beam streaked through the atmosphere. But halfway down, the beam fractured into harmless light, scattering like fireflies before disappearing completely. The aliens were stunned. Their weapons had been reflected by invisible distortion fields surrounding the planet. "They've altered the magnetic structure," an engineer shouted aboard the flagship. "They're using the ionosphere to deflect energy." The humans had turned their own planet into a shield. Ellison stood before the holographic map of Earth, her hand steady as she said, "Activate Phase 2." Across the planet, old satellites came online, ones that hadn't transmitted in decades. Weather stations, old defense grids, and even forgotten communication towers all began to hum. The planet itself became a transmitter. The signal from the moon amplified, spreading faster, stronger, louder. The alien fleet's sensors overloaded as their navigation systems spiraled into chaos. In the Council's central chamber, far across the galaxy, panic began to rise. Thousands of alien representatives watched the live feeds as the human transmission hijacked their networks again. The song had changed, its tone darker now. It wasn't music anymore. It was data. Images of ancient human wars, the rise of cities, the unity of nations. Every moment of struggle and survival flashed before them. The Council's head speaker slammed his staff. "Cut the transmission! Lock the frequencies!" But his voice was drowned by the same signal echoing from their own systems. Even their private communications were infiltrated. Back in orbit, Admiral Vorin realized too late what was happening. "They're using the broadcast to map our entire network," he growled. "They're reading us!" General Ellison watched quietly as streams of alien data poured into the Terran servers. "Now we know how their ships think," she said. "Every protocol, every weakness." Leon looked at her in disbelief. "You mean we can control them?" Ellison's voice was cold. "We can do more than that." In seconds, her technicians redirected the captured alien signals. The fleet that had come to enforce peace began to turn on itself. Their drones fired at their own command ships. Communication broke down completely. The Council's most powerful weapons were now trapped in a web of their own making. Ellison gave the order. "Broadcast this to the entire galaxy." From Earth, the human transmission changed again. The haunting melody was replaced by a calm male voice, translated into hundreds of alien languages. "We are humanity. We do not seek war, but we will not bow." The silence you mistook for fear was the sound of preparation. The peace you tried to enforce was built on your lies. You wanted to judge us? Now we see you. Billions across the stars heard it. On distant worlds, alien civilians watched in disbelief as the so-called primitive humans hijacked the most secure network in existence. Some were afraid. Others, secretly, began to admire the courage of a species that stood alone against the galaxy. On the alien flagship, Admiral Vorin tried to regain control. "Shut down your systems. Disconnect from the network," he shouted. But his words came too late. The flagship's core lights dimmed. The ship trembled. Its navigation AI spoke in a calm voice, repeating the human transmission back to them. "We do not seek war, but we will not bow." Moments later, the massive ship vanished from radar, folded into a deep space coordinate none of them could trace. It had been pulled through its own warp drive by corrupted navigation data. In the silence that followed, the remaining alien ships began retreating in chaos, colliding and scattering across orbit. Humanity's defense grid remained untouched. Leon turned toward General Ellison. "We could destroy them now." Ellison shook her head. "No, not yet. Let them go back. Let them tell their council what happened here. The more they fear us, the less they'll understand us." She turned toward the holoscreen showing the moon's dark surface, where a single facility glowed faintly beneath the dust. Inside it, machines continued to pulse, transmitting the same silent rhythm. "How long can Echo keep the signal stable?" she asked. "Indefinitely," Leon said. "It's adapting. Every time they try to block it, it learns." Ellison's gaze was distant. "Good, let it learn. But make sure it never speaks on its own." As the alien fleets fled Earth's orbit, their last transmissions were intercepted by the Council's main communication hub. Reports were filled with confusion and fear, descriptions of phantom fleets, shifting signals, and human voices inside their machines. Some claimed that the humans had built weapons that could think. Others believed Earth itself had become sentient. Within days, the Council called an emergency assembly. Their worlds trembled with unrest. Several species accused the Council of lying about humanity's power. Others began to question whether the Council had provoked something they could no longer control. General Ellison stood before the massive screen in the command center, watching the news feeds from alien networks. Every world was talking about humanity now. Every corner of the galaxy had heard the signal. "We've started something we can't take back," Leon said quietly. Ellison nodded. "We didn't start it. They did, when they thought we were weak." On the dark side of the moon, the Echo facility continued its transmission. Deep within its core, buried under miles of titanium shielding, a new signal began to form, one that no human had programmed. The frequency pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. Far beyond human range, deep in the void between stars, something answered back. And for the first time since the Council's fleets had fled, the silent hum of the galaxy changed. The humans had shown their strength, but now something else was listening. Something old. Something that remembered the first time humanity had spoken to the stars. General Ellison stared into the night sky. "They think they can scare us," she whispered. "But they still don't understand." She turned away from the window as the last words of the human broadcast echoed across the galaxy once more. "We are humanity. We endure, and if you come again, you'll learn what silence really means." The stars flickered and vanished one by one, swallowed by something vast and invisible creeping toward the solar system. Deep in Earth's orbit, the Terran Watch Fleet held formation, waiting in absolute silence. Admiral Jonah Reeves stood inside the command deck of the warship Resolute, his face illuminated by the faint blue light of tactical screens. "They're coming," he said. His voice was steady, though every heartbeat echoed in his ears. Across the dark expanse, hundreds of alien vessels emerged from hyperspace, sleek, silver, and silent. They did not broadcast warnings or messages. They came to erase what the Galactic Council now called the human infection. The lead vessel, a triangular dreadnought the size of a continent, opened its hangars. Thousands of drones streamed out like a metallic storm, forming a wall of moving steel. "Power down everything," Reeves ordered. The command spread instantly through the fleet. The entire human armada went dark. No signals, no engines, no radar. The alien ships paused, confused. To them, it looked as if the humans had vanished. But Reeves was calm. "They're scanning," he said quietly. "They'll think we fled." Commander Ava Holt stood beside him, her hands folded behind her back. "They don't know the signal trap is ready." Reeves nodded once. "Then let's make them hear it." 5 minutes of silence passed. Then, from somewhere behind Earth's moon, a single human probe lit up, sending a pulse across space, a weak, rhythmic transmission. The alien fleet detected it instantly. "We've found them," said the alien admiral aboard the dreadnought. He turned to his crew. "Lock coordinates and fire." A blast of light ripped through the darkness, slamming into the small probe and vaporizing it. The aliens waited for the explosion to fade, but something strange happened. The blast didn't vanish. It froze in space, twisting like a reflection in water, and then split into thousands of smaller pulses spreading outward in perfect formation. On the alien screens, their navigation maps flickered. Their radar collapsed. Their AI cores began to rewrite themselves. Every system linked to the blast zone was infected by a pattern hidden inside the signal, the same pattern humanity had used in the Echo network. Ava watched as their screens, filled with ghost signatures, copies of alien ships, each showing false coordinates, false readings. The real fleet began firing on itself. "They've taken the bait," she said softly. Reeves gave the next command. "Bring the fleet online." From the dark side of the planet, the hidden human ships came to life, engines flaring blue. Dozens of destroyers, cruisers, and stealth carriers broke formation and struck from below. The aliens tried to respond, but their sensors were blind. The humans had turned the battlefield into a storm of confusion. "Target the command vessel," Reeves said. "We cut off the head, the rest scatter." The Resolute launched a barrage of plasma spears that glowed red against the black sky. They pierced through the drones and struck the dreadnought's hull. The alien shields held, but the attack revealed something the aliens had never seen before. Human ships were using old, analog targeting systems. They couldn't be hacked, tracked, or jammed. Humanity had gone backward to move forward. Aboard the alien flagship, panic spread. "Their weapons don't follow digital logic," shouted one officer. "We can't predict their fire," the alien admiral hissed. "Then overwhelm them. Destroy the planet if you must." Back on Earth, underground command centers felt the tremors as alien weapons powered up in orbit. Bright lines of plasma lanced toward the planet. But before they could reach the atmosphere, they vanished, bending around Earth and shooting off harmlessly into deep space. In the control room of the planetary defense grid, Director Rena Vale smiled grimly. "Their energy's being refracted by the magnetosphere. The frequency lock is holding." Her assistant looked stunned. "We're using the planet's own field as a mirror?" "Exactly," Rena replied. "They send power. We send it home." The next moment, a shock wave of light rippled through space. The plasma bolts the aliens had fired reappeared, redirected, hitting their own ships. The explosion was blinding. Dozens of alien vessels disintegrated instantly, their fragments scattering like meteors. In the command deck of the Resolute, Reeves watched the chaos unfold. "Signal phase 2, he ordered. Ava tapped the console. A hidden fleet emerged from Mars's shadow, 30 more human ships, smaller but faster, carrying stealth drones that could cloak and disrupt communications. They flew directly into the alien formation, scattering beacons that emitted bursts of white noise. The Council fleet tried to jam them, but the jammers only amplified the interference. Within seconds, the entire region was filled with a blinding storm of distortion. In that confusion, Reeves's voice echoed through human channels. "To every ship, aim for the dreadnought's core. They built this war. Let's end it." The alien admiral saw the human ships closing in and made a final desperate move. "Activate the gravity weapon," he shouted. The dreadnought's central chamber glowed with green light. Space itself began to twist, pulling everything inward. The stars bent and time seemed to slow. Several human ships were caught in the pull, crushed into dust. But the Resolute held position, its engines roaring. Reeves knew they had only seconds left before they were pulled in too. "Target the gravity source," he said. Ava hesitated. "That'll cause a collapse." "We'll be caught in it too." Reeves looked at her, calm but resolute. "Then we go down making sure they never rise again." The Resolute fired its final payload, an experimental kinetic lance made of condensed iron, accelerated to near light speed. The weapon tore through the dreadnought's shield and pierced its reactor. For one brief second, the galaxy went silent. Then the sky exploded. A wave of light swallowed everything. Alien ships vanished in fire, their debris scattering across the void. When the light faded, the dreadnought was gone. So was half of the alien fleet. In the aftermath, the human fleet limped back into formation. Their communications crackled with static before stabilizing. Ava opened her eyes and looked out the window. "It's over," she whispered. Reeves shook his head. "No, this was only their front line. The Council won't stop. They'll regroup, and they'll come again." On Earth, Director Rena watched the readings stabilize. The Echo network was still active, broadcasting faint pulses across the stars. "They'll see what happened here," she said. "They'll know what we're capable of now." Far across the galaxy, in the core world of the Council, the surviving admirals stood in silence as the data reached them. The human broadcast had taken over their encrypted channels again, showing live footage of their defeat. The same human voice echoed through every hall and chamber. "You sought to silence us, but now every word we speak carries further than your lies." The Council speaker smashed the control console, but the voice continued, spreading across every network and system. No matter what they did, the human signal returned, stronger each time they tried to stop it. Admiral Voran's successor, a creature of light and scales, turned toward the assembly. "They have turned communication itself into a weapon. Every time we hear them, we lose control." One delegate asked in fear, "Then how do we fight them?" The speaker answered softly, "We silence the stars." Plans were made to shut down interstellar communications, to sever the flow of data between worlds, but it was already too late. The human signal was now part of the galactic network, woven into the infrastructure like a living code. Back on Earth, Reeves stood on the deck of the Resolute, watching the sunrise through the cracked viewport. Ava walked up beside him. "The Council's silence won't last," she said. "They'll find new ways to strike." Reeves nodded slowly. "Then we'll find new ways to endure." From deep space, the remnants of the alien fleet drifted, crippled but alive. Among their damaged systems, one transmission continued to play, over and over, burned into their circuits like a curse. "We are humanity. We fight in silence and we speak through storms. When you come for us, remember this. The void listens. And in the cold emptiness beyond Mars, where light faded and sound could not travel, the human signal pulsed again, steady, rhythmic, unstoppable. The galaxy was listening and humanity was not done speaking. The void trembled as a shadow eclipsed the stars. Above the blue arc of Earth's horizon, an alien fleet emerged from hyperspace, thousands of vessels forming a glimmering net across the upper atmosphere. They did not come in silence. Their arrival cracked space itself, sending auroras rippling across the planet's magnetic field. On the Pacific Defense Grid, alarms howled as sensors lit up with red warnings. "We've got multiple signatures, confirmed Council warships," said Lieutenant Rios, his hands shaking over the console. "They're blocking every orbital route. We're surrounded." From the command tower on Luna Base, General Era Lang stood before the holographic map of Earth. "They came faster than expected," she murmured. The alien fleet was organized with mechanical precision, each ship moving in coordinated rhythm. Their formation was not meant to invade. It was meant to cage. "Activate the planetary veil," Era ordered. Across the surface of the moon, gigantic satellite mirrors turned in unison. A lattice of silver light projected toward Earth. wrapping it in an artificial shroud that reflected signals and cloaked the planet's energy signature. To any observer beyond orbit, Earth appeared to fade, like a light turned off in the darkness. Down on the planet, people could see the sky shift from deep blue to shimmering white. Some thought it was a solar flare. Others knew better. The war had come home again. In orbit, the alien commander, a crystalline being called High Strategist Thal, watched the readings vanish. "The humans hide behind tricks again," he said coldly. "They think we cannot find them," an aide replied. "Their veil disrupts our scans. We can detect the planet's mass, but not their defenses." Thal raised a glimmering hand. "Then we do not scan. We burn." He gave the command, and the alien fleet unleashed its weapons. Thousands of beams of blue plasma struck the Earth's atmosphere. But instead of fire and destruction, the beams scattered, refracted, and vanished. The veil bent energy like water bending light. It turned their fire into confusion. From Luna Base, Era watched it happen. "They're blind," she said, her voice calm but fierce. "Let them waste their power." "General," said Rios, "the veil can't hold forever. They're increasing output every second." Era nodded. "It doesn't need to. We only need to keep them guessing." On the far side of the planet, inside a deep-sea command facility beneath the Mariana Trench, Admiral Cole Wren stood before a series of glowing consoles. "Is the Leviathan protocol ready?" he asked. "Yes, Admiral," answered his chief engineer. 12 carriers submerged, power cells stable. The railgun platforms are synced to orbital coordinates." Cole stared up at the holographic projection showing the alien fleet orbiting above the Pacific. "Then it's time." He keyed the communicator to Luna. "General Lang, this is Wren. The Leviathan is online. Proceed," came her reply. From the darkness of the ocean, 12 titanic structures began to rise. They were unlike anything built before, part ship, part weapon, designed to hide under crushing depths. As they breached the surface, seawater cascaded down their armored hulls. Each one aimed its long barrel toward the sky. Cole raised his hand. "Fire!" the sea erupted. Bolts of electromagnetic energy shot upward, piercing through the clouds and into orbit. The alien fleet was caught off guard. The first few ships tried to dodge, but the railguns fired faster than light could warn them. The projectiles tore through shields and hulls alike. Massive alien cruisers broke apart, debris burning as it fell through Earth's atmosphere. In his command ship, Thal reeled back in disbelief. "How are they tracking us through the veil?" he demanded. An officer replied, "We don't know. Their weapons are primitive. No energy signatures to trace." "Primitive," Thal repeated softly. "No energy." Then realization dawned. "They use magnetics. They are shooting metal at orbital speed." He turned toward his fleet. "All ships, adjust magnetic dampeners. Do it now!" But before his orders spread, another volley struck. The Leviathan platforms fired again, this time targeting the fleet's core vessels. Explosions blossomed across space. The alien formation broke apart, scattering in panic. Era's voice came over the intercom to Cole. "You've done it. The upper grid is collapsing." Cole exhaled. "It won't last. They'll adapt soon." He was right. Within minutes, the alien ships recalibrated their shields. The next railgun volley bounced harmlessly off their new defenses. Thal smirked. Human tactics. Effective for moments, never for wars. Then his smirk faded as his sensors went dark again. A single human satellite had reactivated above the South Pole, transmitting a signal in perfect synchronization with the alien fleet's network. It wasn't jamming them, it was copying them. Every alien ship saw false data. Ghost fleets appeared in the wrong places. Their targeting systems glitched, showing human ships where none existed. And hidden among the false readings, the real human fleet emerged from the dark side of the moon. Era gave the command. "All ships, strike while they're blind." Dozens of stealth destroyers ignited their engines, streaking across the void. They fired missiles that carried no fuel, no heat, only kinetic death. The alien fleet scrambled to respond but fired at ghosts instead. Real targets went unseen. In a matter of minutes, another wave of alien ships fell. Thal's crystal form pulsed with fury. They learned too quickly. Every battle changes their mind. Every defeat becomes their strength. An aide replied shakily. High strategist! Their planetary defenses are reorganizing. The humans have begun uploading false signals through our relay network. Thal slammed a hand on the control node. Then destroy the network! Collapse it! I will not let this contagion spread again. He turned toward the window, watching the blue world below. Humanity has become a virus in the code of the stars. But down on Earth, Cole Wren stared at the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Virus or not, we adapt faster than they evolve, he muttered. A voice came from behind him. Dr. Ilya Mora, the scientist who had designed the Leviathan project. Admiral, the planet's crust sensors detect gravitational instability. Their fleet's core reactor is charging a compression weapon. If it fires, the whole orbital field will collapse. Cole's eyes widened. They're trying to crush the atmosphere. Yes, she said quietly. They'll make Earth uninhabitable just to destroy us. He opened the line to Era. We can't stop that blast conventionally. If they fire, Earth's gone. Era's voice came through steady as stone. Then we take the shot before they do. General, you can't possibly. I can and I will. On Luna Base, Era walked to the primary console and keyed in a launch code. Beneath the moon's surface, a chamber opened, revealing the Arc-Light Array, a weapon so powerful it was never meant to be used. It drew its energy from the lunar core itself, Era whispered under her breath. May humanity forgive us for what comes next. She pressed the final key. The moon's surface flared with blinding light. A beam of pure energy shot across space, tearing through alien ships in its path. It struck the fleet's core reactor before it could fully charge. For a moment, everything froze. Then the sky split open. The explosion consumed half the alien armada, creating a wave of radiation that echoed across orbit. The veil around Earth shattered, revealing the planet once more. When the light faded, silence returned. The alien fleet was gone. The remaining ships retreated into hyperspace, vanishing one by one. In the shattered control room on Luna, Ira stood among flickering lights. Status? She asked weakly. Damage. Severe, replied Rios. But Earth stands. Down in the Mariana command post, Cole Wren stared at the feed from orbit. She did it, he said quietly. She actually did it. Dr. Mora placed a hand on his shoulder. The array is gone. The moon's core is unstable. But Earth lives. In the dark emptiness where the alien fleet had been, fragments drifted, silent and glowing faintly. Among them floated Thal's shattered command vessel. His last transmission had already reached the Council worlds before his destruction. The humans do not fight for power. They fight to remember who they are. They are not conquerors. They are reminders. Across the galaxy, those words spread faster than light. Civilizations who once feared the Council began to listen. Whispers turned into questions. And for the first time in centuries, the Council's rule began to fracture. On Earth, as dawn broke through the clouds, Era looked down at the planet below, scarred yet alive. She spoke softly to no one in particular. They thought silence would end us, but our silence is only the sound before thunder. And somewhere in the void, far beyond the ruins of war, the signal of humanity pulsed once again, steady, defiant, and impossible to erase. The darkness above Earth rippled again. For hours, space had been quiet after the destruction of the alien fleet, but quiet never lasted long when humanity was involved. At first, there were only faint distortions in the stars, like light bending through invisible glass. Then a single alien dreadnought emerged from hyperspace, its size dwarfing mountains. It was not part of Thal's fleet. This ship bore the markings of the Galactic Council itself. On Earth, every satellite and radar dish locked onto the new arrival. Its mass readings exceeded anything humanity had ever recorded. The dreadnought's core glowed crimson, and its gravity alone pulled small orbital debris toward it, vaporizing them instantly. From the Luna Base control tower, Commander Era Lang stood weakly, her uniform torn from the last battle. That's not a warship, she whispered. That's a judgment vessel. Her officer turned pale. The Council came personally. The broadcast cut through every communication system on Earth, radio, digital, even neural bands. A voice spoke, calm but resonant, echoing in every language at once. Humanity of Sol, you have violated the cosmic order. You destroyed a council fleet. You weaponized forbidden technology. The council now deems your species unstable. Then came the verdict. Earth is to be purged. On the moon, alarms began to blare again. Energy buildup detected inside the dreadnought, Rios shouted. They're preparing a planetary strike. Era didn't hesitate. Prepare the Veil Corps. Get me Admiral Cole. Down in the Mariana Trench command post, Cole Wren stared at the same readings. That weapon could vaporize continents, he muttered. We don't have enough firepower left to stop it. Dr. Ilya Mora, pale and exhausted, looked up from her console. Then we make it fire at the wrong target, Cole frowned. Explain. The Council weapon uses quantum targeting, locks onto planetary energy signatures. If we alter Earth's signal to mimic the sun's corona, it will redirect its beam. They'll shoot straight into the solar storm. That's suicide, Cole said. If it fails, it won't fail, Ilya replied. Because humans don't fail when extinction is on the line. Cole didn't argue. Do it. As the dreadnought loomed closer, its central weapon began to expand, revealing a burning core of light. Across the world, people stared up at the night sky, seeing the scarlet glow through the clouds. It looked like a second sun rising in the wrong direction. From orbit, Era opened a channel to the alien ship. Her voice was calm, steady, and human. This is General Lang of Earth Command. You claim judgment, but you do not understand humanity. We are not unstable. We are survivors. You think silence means surrender? It means we're listening, the alien voice responded, emotionless. Words cannot change your sentence. Then let our actions speak, Era said quietly. She nodded to her crew. Activate the signal shift. Deep within Earth's core, old satellites came alive. The planet's magnetic field pulsed, twisting and vibrating as new frequencies filled the ionosphere. A coded signal, crafted by human scientists and artificial minds alike, spread through every layer of the atmosphere. It was designed to confuse quantum targeting, blending Earth's unique energy signature with that of the nearby sun. Signal distortion at 80%, reported Rios. The Council's weapon is charging. They're at critical threshold. Era clenched her fists. Hold it steady. In space, the Council dreadnought locked onto its target. The weapon fired. A massive beam of red light tore across the void, striking with the power of a small star. The humans watched as it neared Earth. Then suddenly the beam curved, drawn by the false signal, straight into the solar flare erupting from the sun. The reaction was instant. The solar storm detonated, amplifying the blast 1,000-fold. A wave of radiation hit the dreadnought head-on. Its shields, designed for offense, could not withstand a star's wrath. Direct hit, shouted Rios. The beam backfired. Era watched the feed as the Council vessel's hull melted and its core imploded. They judged us, she said softly. Now the stars judge them. But before the dreadnought was destroyed completely, a smaller sphere detached from it and escaped through hyperspace. Dr. Mora watched it go from her deep-sea base. They're sending a message, she whispered. The Council will come again, Cole nodded grimly. Then next time they'll bring the whole galaxy. Hours later, across Earth, the skies cleared. The orbital debris shimmered in sunlight. Humanity had survived again. But now, every major world in the galaxy knew the truth. Earth had defied the Galactic Council and lived. From the ruins of the Lunar Command, Era looked down at the blue planet. How long before they return? Not long, Rios said. But the broadcast spread everywhere. Every species heard what we did. They're afraid, Era smiled faintly. Good. Fear makes people think. In a distant system within the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, alien delegates shouted over one another. News of the human counterstrike had shaken the core of their authority. Some called for extermination, others for negotiation. At the center, the Prime Arbiter raised a clawed hand. Enough. They turned our weapon against us. That cannot be ignored. But neither can their potential. Humanity must be studied, or contained. Another delegate, covered in gold chitin, hissed. You cannot contain fire. It only spreads. A sudden voice echoed from the edge of the chamber, a transmission that wasn't supposed to exist. The voice was human. "This is Earth Command," said Ira Lang. "You sit in judgment, yet you hide behind fear. You send fleets to erase what you do not understand. We were silent because we were listening. But now you will listen to us." Gasps rippled across the chamber as the hologram of Era appeared before them. "You call yourselves a council of peace, yet you destroy worlds. We call ourselves human and we build from ruin. You say we are dangerous. You are right. But danger is not evil. It is evolution." The Prime Arbiter glared at the projection. "You cannot threaten the council." "I'm not threatening," Era said, her eyes sharp. "I'm broadcasting." Behind her image, the view shifted to show Earth's orbit. Dozens of ships were visible, new ones, larger, more advanced. Humanity had been rebuilding, even as they fought. Era continued. "Every world that ever suffered under your order heard your last transmission. They heard you call for our extinction. Now they see we survived, and they will see that we are not alone." At that moment, across multiple systems, signals began to appear. Rebellion transmissions from other species who had long been under the Council's control. One by one, they declared neutrality. Then defiance. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Back on Earth, Cole Wren watched the chaos unfold on the broadcast screen. "She did it," he murmured. "The whole galaxy's listening." Dr. Mora smiled weakly. The broadcast that stirred humanity's darkest fury also stirred their hope. But Ira wasn't done. Her message continued to every corner of the stars. "You wanted silence from us, but silence is never weakness. It's the deep breath before the storm. The universe will remember this day, not as humanity's trial, but as its awakening." She ended the transmission. The hologram faded. On the Council's world, silence followed. Real silence, the kind that came before collapse. The Prime Arbiter looked around the chamber and saw fear on every face. "So it begins," he muttered. Back on Earth, night fell once again. The cities glowed beneath the stars, and in orbit, the last human ships drifted in silent formation. Cole Wren stood by the ocean, watching the horizon. "We bought time," he said. Dr. Mora nodded. "Time to prepare. Time to build. Time to make them understand we are not prey." Above them, the constellations shimmered, broken, bright, and alive. Humanity had fought gods and governments, fleets and extinction, and still, they endured. And somewhere far across the galaxy, as the Council's empire began to fracture, whispers spread through the stars. "They are only human," said one voice. "Yes," answered another, fearful and awed, and that is exactly what makes them unstoppable. As the solar wind carried the echoes of battle into deep space, a single beacon pulsed from Earth's orbit, a steady signal, repeating in every known language, "We are still here." And for the first time in galactic history, the Council fell silent.